How did you feel when they turned the conversation because of Target and Caroline, your CEO's past involvement with Target, they turned it into a Black American versus Black African conversation, and that whole thing exploded of like Essence is losing its focus on Black Americans.
And so I have to pause this. Okay, so that person who was just speaking, the female, her name is Lauren La Rosa, and her brand is Black Girl. Oh no, not Black. It's Brown Girl something. So she leads with brown. So I don't know where she's from, but she has a Spanish surname. So perhaps she's of some Hispanic origin. But I want you to hone in on how she led into the question. It was very misleading, this Black American versus Black African. First of all, we're not in a rivalry with anyone. We are second to none. Nextly, there is no Black African. They're just Africans. Black is not synonymous with sub-Saharan African diasporans. Black is Black American only. But the actual issue is really Black American erasure. But I feel like she's trying to sensationalize some sort of war. We're not at war with anyone. All Black Americans were saying is that our heritage is being erased from a festival that centers us.
Yeah, I mean, those are one of the, I mean, I'd love to hear how you guys think about that, but that's one of those ones that I struggle with understanding intellectually, right?
Now, there goes that intellectually thing. It's kind of like what they always say, you're not smart, you guys are ignorant. Or in a now viral video on a Houston news station, a woman named Nanette, a Nigerian, said that we're intellectually lazy. So he is implying that his intellect is superior to ours in that he cannot understand what we have said, and we made it very, very plain.
For a host of reasons. Let's just talk about the actual facts, right? So we had, 40 plus acts and performers, right? We had one Jamaican act, performer Buju, mm-hmm. and we had one African performer, Davido, mm-hmm. right? That to me doesn't say that we're losing our center, right?
Well, what he omitted is that you had a lot of African and Caribbean speakers. And I would be very curious to see how many speakers they had in their other activities at the festival that were Black Americans. Of course, because Black Americans are known globally and probably interdimensionally for our talent in singing. We are the bait that you use to bring people to the festival. Now let's hear him talk about the center.
Right. We remain extremely centered on African American culture, right? And on Black women. That's our center. That doesn't mean we can't expand out from our center.
Now, you just heard him. He distinguished between African American culture and Black women. So to him, Black women are descendants of the sub-Saharan African diaspora. So Black Americans, he does not consider you as Black. He called you an African-American. Do you see how that was? So now, instead of saying African diaspora, we become Africanized. And then the diaspora gets to walk away with Blackness. This is how he sees us. And this is also what you see on his website. He distinguishes us as African Americans and then distinguishes the African diaspora as Black.
All it means is we can't lose our center. So if you were on the ground, if you were there, you see that center is very much there, right? You go into the convention center, right? You look at what happened on the stages. You look at what happened. If you were there, you know that we're still centered, right? But if you were there, you also know that we're growing and that we're broadening, because everybody has to grow and broaden. Otherwise, you won't be around, right? There's also sort of the philosophical approaches to this is I view myself as Black. I've benefited from being Black, and I have also lost from being Black. When I walk in the room, what people see, if they don't know me, when I walk in a room, I walk down the street, they see a Black man, right? My entire
Now, we have to break that down. He says he sees himself as black. Well, so did Rachel Dolezal, the white woman who was going around pretending to be black. So did the New York mayoral candidate, the Mondani guy. He actually identified as black and seen himself as black to get educational opportunity. We have several instances of red dot Hindus seeing themselves as black if it will help them get through the door. So just because you see yourself as black conveniently doesn't mean that you are black. The next thing he said, that when people see him, they will know that they'll think that he is black until they get to know him. That means once he gets to know people, he pulls off the black mask and lets them know that he's Liberian, you see. So I want you to hear that. Seeing myself as black and identifying, there's a lot of people cosplaying our culture who see themselves as black temporarily. But are you black? When you immigrated to this country, you did not come from a country called black.
Our life has been dedicated to uplifting black. I focused it on the economics on there.
Now, I got to pause it again. Bear with me. Now, he has focused on uplifting black because he does not want to uplift Liberia. Because if he leads with Africa and Liberia, but Liberia specifically, then we have to talk about his immigrant lineage. We have to talk about the Liberian Civil War, which caused his family to leave Liberia. He would then have to talk about his African heritage and the benefits that he got from his grandmother, who was in Sierra Leone selling shea butter, which is how he got the plug to source raw materials and then access foreign labor. Now, I don't know what his circumstances was coming here, if he came over as a refugee, but there are Liberian refugees who get refugee money and refugee protected status. Also, Liberia was getting money from U.S. aid, money that Black Americans would never get. So he wants to hold on to black and elevate black, because as we were blackened meaning our history hidden from us and stolen from us, he wants to hide his history. That is why he wants to hold on to black and make you African. Because if we become the Africans, now we're associated with the quote unquote African leaders who just came to meet with President Donald Trump and begging for resources and asking for peace. So I want you going forward to listen to this, and you have to start qualifying blackness. When they say black, you need to start asking a follow-up. What do you mean? What is your definition of black? Because he just Africanized us, and he just commandeered black for himself and his identity. But he was very specific. He said once they, if they don't know me, they'll think I'm black. So that means he knows he's something else. He also, when he mentioned the different artists singing, he mentioned a Jamaican and an African. He didn't call them a black. So he understands that black is Black American. He is very sure of that.
The economic side is black because that's what I know how to do. That's what I'm skilled at. The thing that I've learned from that is we're much better off when we're focused on our commonalities and we're building on those commonalities. As I said earlier, I grew up, King, Garvey, Lumumba, right? That the thinking around, hey, we have a much better chance of developing and growing our communities when we find the commonalities and the alignments, and we're working towards shared goals and shared objectives. When we don't.
The problem is that those people that he listed have a Pan-African bend, primarily Marcus Garvey, MLK, which is the reason why they quote the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. so much, is because he had socialist underpinnings. And towards the end of his life, he was talking about democratic socialism. And a lot of these Pan-Africans have this socialist / communist leaning. And so in that paradigm, there's something called equity. So basically, whatever was yours is now mine, and we share it. I take as much as your stuff that you earned and created until I can get to where you are. And so this issue of Pan-Africanism, we will explore that on this channel. So make sure that you subscribe. But yeah, another thing is that commonality and shared this, that, and the other, this Pan African mythos has already been debunked. The African leaders who just met with President Donald Trump did not mention anything about Black people. They came on behalf of their countries. They didn't mention anything about Black Americans and what we can do to make, or what they can do to make our lives better. They came for trade and commerce, just like he said that his skill is in the economic aspects of trade and commerce. So, if you want to, you can listen to this interview again. But this whole thing on Blackness and in the commandeering of Black and then Africanizing us, and this is a much deeper topic.